Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Norm's Friends. Beautiful, fantastic weather today. Enjoy it. Let your spirit soar. Today I have a guest. We'll get to him in a second. The wonderful, fantastic, very talented artist, Anthony Williams, renowned from everywhere from his fantastic work all around town. So, and before we open it up to phone calls, naturally, I just have a few anti-American points I just want to touch on quickly. And of course, so we'll start with, again, a famous quote or a quote from a famous person or celebrity. I like the quotes from celebrities, all right? So here it is, makes a lot of sense. If you look at what you have in life, you'll always have more. And it's that simple. If you look at what you don't have in life, you'll never have enough. And that's true. So let me say it again, and I'll add stuff as I go, all right? If you look at what you have in life, and even if you think you have nothing, look inside, because you have so much. Your spirit, your soul, I'm telling you, if you acknowledge that and accept that, it's 90% of the battle. The other 10% is just basically necessities, which is different than wants. All right? And you'll always have more, which is true, because you won't believe how much you have if you sort of tune in to your inner self. If you look at what you don't have in life, you'll never have enough. And that's true, because why? People are out there, I want this, I want that, I want this. So-and-so's got a fancy car, I want a fancy car. It's just snowballs the wrong way. And who is the celebrity that said it? All right? By the way, just so you know, a very progressive, woke, leftist thinking, leaning person, all right? Oprah Winfrey. There you have it. And then, so that's, here I am. I didn't even introduce myself today. It must be the weather. It must be the weather. David B., the readings guy, 603-404-9 338. I think it's got to be the weather. Or I'm starting to get lost. Biffid, Biffid @yahoo.com. I'll let my wonderful guest introduce himself, and then I'll just go over a few anti-Americanism points that I think should be noticed by people, Americans. So go take it away.
Hello, I'm Anthony Williams. I'm an artist here in Manchester, and I've got my own TV show, and I like coming on TV. I like expressing myself, and I'm glad Dave had me on today. I look back on all the things that we've gone through in the last couple of years, and I'm hoping that things will move a little faster in the direction of art. I'm ready now to, within the next couple of weeks, start some murals, and I hope that we can all join together, all the artists, and get things done in the city like we have in the past. Have murals here and there, and I like working with other artists, and that's just about it. I think that a city this size, we should have a lot more artwork, and believing that art is a therapy. That's kind of like my truckload of positive vibes, I call it. Hopefully things will be moving a little quicker here, and let's hope this monkeypox doesn't have us all locked up and locked down again, because I can tell the psychological damage that it's done, and I hope that this doesn't come out as a major disease spread around the world like we had with COVID.
All right, so just to touch on just a couple of things today. Just a couple of things. The first one, if anybody noticed, it was just the other day, a couple of days ago. Our fearless leader is on TV, and what does he come out with? We're going through a very difficult very difficult transitional period, or whatever he said. We're going through a difficult transition. All right? And naturally, so what do they talk about? The first thing you hear is, oh, that's him in his green new. Good afternoon. Welcome to Norm's Friends. How are you today?
Hi, Dave. Hi, Anthony. How you doing today?
All right.
Very good. What's going on? You
The
didn't.
energy lady.
Right, I know, but the energy lady didn't let me finish my little pointers here before she called. What can I do for you today? I only have tarot cards because I have a guest.
Oh, no crystal ball?
Well, actually, I do have it, but I have a guest, so I leave it stored because, with the crystal ball, if I take it out, then I get calls for people want crystal ball readings, so I leave it there because I do get carried away with it. So, would you?
Well, we'll have to stop carrying you away and put you sitting down.
There you
Can I have a
go.
reading?
You certainly may. As usual, I'm gonna pick up 3 cards, and let's see what's in store for the Queen of the Optimists. Let's see. How have you been, by the way? Well,
Of course.
up. Look at this. This is unbelievable. Wow, wow, wow. What energy. So I'm going to start with the last card first because, see, the last card, you're sort of not overwhelmed, but I know that you've had, like I said, this is the third card first. I know that you've sort of had trying to work out a few issues, nothing major, nothing that's bearing down hard on you, but just mentally, even it could be so simple as do I go to Walmart or do I go to Target? That type of thing, hemming and hawing. All right, because I know this is what it's really nothing, but and of course that's you at the end. You just get rid of it. It's all coming to an end, because look at it. Here we have, how can you beat this? The Wheel of Fortune. What more do you need, right? Wheel of Fortune. All right, you're going on a nice cycle. You got all these tools. You got this positive energy. You know how to use it. We don't know, you know how to tap into yourself. So there you go, Wheel of Fortune. It's wherever you want to stop the dial, and it's always on a positive note for you. So we're starting there. All right, and look at the second card, the Chariot again. So this has a little bit, like I said before, about the hemming and hawing, right? You got the Chariot. You got the 2 Sphinx there, 2 wheels, whatever, a yin and a yang. You got white and black. All right, on each side of the Chariot. The Chariot, naturally, what do you do if you're in a chariot? You're going places. So it's like what I said here, spin the dial and you can stop it wherever you want. And wherever it stops for you, it's always in a nice, positive, even flowing, smooth path that's lying ahead of you, because you're so uplifting and positive, in tune to your spirit. All right, so, and again, the yin and the yang, the white and the black. Do I go left or do I go right? But it's just for the few things that were sort of boggling your mind, we'll say for the past week or so. That's it. You just get rid of them just like that. All you have to do is, where you want to stop the dial, you want to take a right or a left, bye-bye issues. That's simple. So there you have it.
I have to go somewhere if I take a right or a left.
That's exactly
If I
right.
didn't do that, I'd be stuck in the middle.
And I know, that's right. And then what do you do, right? It's, oh no. right? It's like stuck in the middle of the road. Which side do I go to? So,
Well, that remains to be seen.
all right, but I'm sure you know you'll prevail easily. That's what the cards just said. So
That's wonderful.
it is.
Hey,
See?
Anthony, you got any paintings today?
No, I didn't bring any with me, but I'm working on some that I hope when Dave has me back. Uh, I'll tell you what. Whenever Dave invites me back, I'll bring a painting with me.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will.
After all, the weather's getting beautiful now, so you ought to be out there doing something.
I will. Yeah, I'm waiting to do some murals now. I'm waiting to hear from the guy that owns the building when he's going to get it primed and
And maybe Dave can help you out with some of that.
yeah, I'll put him to work.
Right. Well, I will, but I keep asking him when he does a mural. I want to be in one of the murals, so I can drive.
You want your picture on the wall, Dave?
Yes, yes.
I'll have him running from a big lion.
Holding
Right.
a butterfly?
Yeah, he'll be on a butterfly with a big
There you
lion
go,
chasing him.
Yeah. Right. All right. That's it. Because I want to drive by everybody I know. I want to drive by the mural and say, "Hey, look, that's me. That's me." So now you know.
I'd go by and go, ah!
Right.
Oh, look at that, Dave!
There you are. All right. Anyway, there you have it. Thanks for calling. I just want to get, you know me, I just got a few points today for anti-Americanism. So bear with us. Maybe 2 minutes, if that.
Okie dokie.
All right.
Well, you have
Notice-
a wonderful day, and God bless everybody.
All
Bye.
right. That's
thank
right.
you.
God bless. Thanks. Bye. This is a sweetheart. All right. So where was I? It was about Biden's difficult transition. Everybody picked right up about the Green New Deal.
Yeah.
Wrong. It's got nothing to do with the Green New Deal, because the next item will sort of bring it together for you. What he's talking about is transitioning into socialism. What, you mark my words, and you can laugh all you want, and you can sit in your chair and couldn't care less. You'll see what's happening before your very eyes, because there's a lot, you know, like when Obama passed Obamacare, right? What did the guy that did that Obamacare bill say? You can tell them anything. Americans are stupid, and that's what they're banking on now. Anyway, it's transitioning to socialism, and think about it. Think about this. The Democrats, because they're the ones that are controlling the House now, they're drafting a bill in Congress to regulate the prices at the pump, right? In other words, they're going to take control of free enterprise. All right? That's the first step, and it's the biggest step and a fast step to installing socialism in America. And again, you can sit in your rocking chair or in your recliner and laugh all you want and say this guy's talking out of where the sun don't shine. Think about it. That's what they did in Venezuela, and look at them today. It all started by Venezuela taking control of the oil companies, and look at them. Same thing is happening here. And what is it? Very difficult transition. And I just brought up Obama. I have to bring him up for another second. Because the last time they gave him airtime, it was about the government has to do something about disinformation. They did the disinformation board, which quickly got dissolved.
Yeah.
But now, right away last night, they have to take guns away. I'm telling you. And it's all so they can transition quicker with this difficult transition. I'm telling you, think about it.
Little by little.
But anybody call up their elected officials this week? Me, raise your hand. I do it all the time. I'm calling. I just found about this a little while ago. So tomorrow I'm going to call my fearless representative, Mr. Pappas, and tell him about this. Enough is enough is enough. All they want to do is stomp on democracy. You can read the Constitution online. I suggest everybody read it. they're stomping on the Constitution, and the only reason they're doing it is because so many idiots out there that don't know what their rights are. So they're stampeding all over them. All right, that's that. Another one. Remember the Georgia voting law that they were talking about? It's going to suppress voters, especially black voters, naturally. Got to get the race in there. So this is how suppressing this voting law is in Georgia. The early voting is up by 200%. So much for suppressing the voters. But of course, I love it. Stacey Abrams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though the early voting is up 200%, it doesn't mean that they're not suppressing voters. But, what can I tell you? She's probably fried too. And then, so that's all. That's the anti-Americanism for today. Call your elected officials. So now, let's just, for the tragedy yesterday, the mass shooting down in Texas, all right? Let's just have a moment of silence. And during the moment of silence, let's send prayers and healing and comfort to all that were affected by this mass shooting, this ridiculous, horrible, needless tragedy. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Anthony and see what he's got on his mind.
I've got a lot on my mind. Most of it I'm not prepared to say anything about now, but I would like to, a couple shows ago, I brought the Book of Enoch on the show. And Dave was nice enough to get them printed on the computer from two different authors. And I had the book, and I'm approaching halfway through this book. I don't know why it was taken out of the Bible, but I know who took it out of the Bible. But I'm finding it more interesting as I go through the book. And in the Bible it says, in the end days, it'll be just like it was in the days of Noah. And after you read this book, and at first it seems like why you need all the knowledge that you can to find out what happened thousands and thousands of years ago. And I'm reading now where Enoch is taken by an angel, and he is in the inside of the earth, and he's describing the different areas. And of course, being an artist, I started taking notes. So what I'm going to do eventually, I'm so far behind on my painting now and reading, but I've got to paint what he saw, and it's fascinating. So I'm going to go through again tonight when I get home, go through my notes, and then I'm going to have to research crystals, because crystals keep coming up everywhere in that book. It's about, it's
all crystals, that's right.
There's frightening visions that he saw. I didn't realize that Admiral Byrd had written later in his book about the center of the earth, or it was an opening to the earth. And then all of a sudden he was shut down and the information wasn't getting out. I wonder if it's still on the internet, but he was believed adamantly that there was a way for us to enter the earth, and that there was actually a opening or a portal, whatever you want to call it. So it stirs my imagination. We know, at least we're told, that there's a fire in the center of the earth, and that may be true because we have molten lava and everything else, but it just opened up my eyes to the fact that if I can capture what he saw and put it on paper or canvas and see if people can make heads or tails out of it, and I think it'd be a fun project. So I think it may take me a while, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. But you'd be surprised. People wonder how these false gods came about, and the giants, of course. Supposedly 1/3, the Bible says 1/3 of the angels left their place of habitat, and they came and they mated with earth women, and they produced what is called Nephilim, giants. And a lot of people say, oh, no, that can't be true. Well, it is true. There's photographic images of these giants. These bones were sold to elites in Europe, so they were kind of kept away from us. But luckily, 20 years ago, I got my copies, and I've run it by a few pastors here in the city, and they're amazed by it. But they tell me, they say, Anthony, don't get so caught up in it that you lose the vision of what the Bible is saying. And I say, no, that's not going to happen, but it's going to increase my knowledge on what happened back then and why it affects us today. It gives the names in the first couple books of right after Genesis. It actually gives the names of the giants. Of course, there was the famous story of David and Goliath. Well, it was a true story. There were giants on the earth, and some of those giants were anywhere from 12, 15, 16, all the way up to 18 feet high. And they were all over the world. So I jumped into American Indians and their myths and their old stories. And sure enough, out in the Southwest, there were bones dug up of giants that were 12 to 15 feet tall. There were a lot of them in Ohio, Midwest, Indiana, Michigan, that were 8 to 12 feet tall. So you wonder how these giants got here, and the reason that they got here was, according to the Bible, they left their place of habitat, heaven. And as you read the book of Enoch, you'll see that God says that these people will remain, these giants, when they're killed by the angels, and they were. That's where we get our demons from. And God even says that they are going to be on this earth, and they're going to stay in this earth until Judgment Day, and that they are evil spirits, quote, demons. It goes on to say that they rebelled against man. They ended up eating human beings and drinking their blood. And it's like, you try and imagine this, and it sounds like something, a movie, of the science fiction, but I really got thrilled by reading the book, and I'm approaching halfway, but it makes sense. It's not a fairy tale. It really happened, and these bones, I think they say there's one giant left that's in public view, and it's in London, and wealthy people want those bones removed. They want to buy these bones so that people won't be able to view them anymore. The Catholic Church admitted decades ago that they had bones of giants, and people were allowed to see them, but now they're not unless they be are heads of states. In other words, somebody important, a politician, a president, a prime minister, or somebody else. But I look at it as all these things happened. Offering your child to a god named Baal, offering your child to a god named Molech. And I look at what they're doing now in 2 states, California, the state of New York, that you can actually kill your child when it's 28 days old. As in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the end days. And that's what sticks in my mind.
And I just want anybody, well, like a tarot reading, want to make a comment, call, whatever, 603-640-3091. Oh, get this. I got to tell you about this Sunday night at the arena. Slipknot.
What happened?
They're Satanists. They even got a guy that comes out dressed in a red robe like Satan. And then at one point, and I'm telling you, everybody laughs. There's no such thing as Satan. Well, there most certainly is, and I keep saying it. Satan's biggest feat was convincing the world that he doesn't exist. Anyway, so the lead singer, and they all wear masks and, these real negative, dark-looking costumes and stuff. The drummer had this big thing on his head with all these spikes out of it. But anyway, the singer at one point, and the crowd's going crazy, right? I had earplugs, thank God.
Yeah.
Anyway, I worked there. It's not like I want everybody to know I didn't pay to go see Slipknot. But anyway.
What was the name? Slipknot?
Slipknot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I told you, my friend Liz, her son used to listen to it. She wouldn't allow him to listen to it in the house. She was telling me. She says they're Satanists. They're very dark and negative. But anyway, I don't know the name of the song, but he's up there and he's singing. So he says, all right, now, he wants audience participation, right? So he says, you, the audience, he says, you're 555. And then he says, so if you're 555, that means I must be 666, right? So he says, all right. And he says, so what are you? And the crowd screams out, 555. And he says, and they go, 666.
Yeah.
But,
I know.
they think it's harmless. They're calling in Satan. They don't even realize it. They don't even realize what they're doing.
They have no clue.
They don't.
People think it's Satan is this little guy in a red suit and pitchfork and little horns on his head. And the Bible gives a completely different description of Hitler / Satan. Same thing. Same thing. Hitler was... I think that kind of slipped in there because he was a known Satanist. He was heavily into the occult. And you can go so far into the occult where you start to, you're starting to lose it. Where you're getting so deep into it that eventually it'll take you over. And people, like Dave said, that don't believe in Satan, you're in for a very, very rude awakening.
Well, they do. Well, and it's still a lot of the stuff that's going on, right? Like with the disinformation board, I said. Now, I still say, and nobody could care less, Muslim Brotherhood advisors are in the White House.
They have been for quite a while.
Yeah, but I know, but especially now with this guy, they weren't with Trump. They are now, but, with this administration, the Muslim Brotherhood, which blows me away, they're terrorist organizations. They're outlawed. Even Iran doesn't want anything to do with them. In Saudi Arabia, it's a terrorist organization. By the way, he just took the terrorist label off several more.
And the thing is, see, that you've got the Iran deal. That if you look at the Iran deal, I'm just going to come out and say it because it's the truth. They are the biggest sponsors of world terrorism.
So
you don't compromise with people like that. Look what's going on in Israel every single day. Now it's worse now than it has been in years. They they get to the point where they just had somebody assassinated, and they pointed their finger to Israel, saying that the IDF did it. But now they're backstepping and saying that they think it's possible that somebody within their own organization assassinated this guy. This guy was the head of all the drone intelligence operations, and then you say to yourself, if you believe in your religion, why do you have to go out and kill people? It's like what's going on in Pakistan. Why are Christians being murdered every single day? Why?
Because Islam is Satanism.
Oh,
That's exactly why. Anybody out there, prove me wrong. 603-640-3091.
It's getting to the point, too, where people, if you don't study their religions, I am not a big one on organized religions. That's why the church I belong to is non-denominational, and they're strictly Bible. And you don't have to carry around, I'm a Methodist, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Presbyterian, I'm this and that. And I look at all these fractured organized religions, all claiming to proclaim the same God, yet they're all going down separate streets to get to this God. And you have some people, and the Muslims, I hate to say it, and that's not all the Muslims. There's Muslims that I know that are peaceful, loving people. But Islam, in my opinion, is a phony religion. And to me, it is no doubt a satanic movement.
Whoa.
It's gotten to the point now where people say, well, they're not all evil. They're not all out killing people. And, I look at what's going on in Afghanistan, and now I look at Saudi Arabia's even saying, hey, these people are getting out of hand, so they're getting closer ties with Israel, which should have happened a long time ago. If your God is real, and you're sure that this God exists, then why do you have to kill somebody that doesn't believe it? You can kill yourself, and in the Quran it says, kill or maim anyone that does not believe, and that includes yourself. See, the God that I worship doesn't say, hey, Anthony, go out and kill yourself for me. Go out and kill 10 people on the street.
Well, it's, like they say, God is love, right? God is love, Jesus is love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad is not love. Muhammad is hate. It's Satanism. Look what's going on in Nigeria now with the Christians.
Right.
They're slashing them, they're chopping them up, they're burning them.
And it's going to get worse.
Well, they don't do anything, but they're starting to get away with it here. It was just like last week in the Pennsylvania Senate primary. I forget what was her name, Bartlett, the black lady, the black girl running, good for her. But what did they start? How were they attacking her? This stuff blows me away because it's so ridiculous. They start, she made anti-Muslim tweets. Muslims are anti-everything. They tweet about everything and nobody says a word. It's like people got to stand up. So what? It's not that she didn't say anything. She didn't tweet something that wasn't true.
Right.
I mean, look at these tweets that Islam does. Kill the Christians. If you got to, they forced them. I mean, talk about sexism and oppression and discrimination for women. And what really blows me away, Anthony, about Islam also, the blacks always go on about slavery, yet here they are, especially the black females, they join Islam. I just don't get it.
Doesn't make sense, I know. It doesn't.
It doesn't. It just blows me away.
It gets to a point, too, where people need to actually, instead of just talking about it and just barely scratching the surface, you need to, why don't you read up on the Muslim religion? you'll find out that it didn't even start until between 8 and 900 years after Christ was buried and rose. It's a religion that when Muhammad says Gabriel came to me and told me this is what's really going on, this is the real God, that's one of a Christian's angels that I know didn't talk to Muhammad
After you got that
at
right.
all.
No.
There's no way that Gabriel said, hey, start killing people and doing this and doing that. You'll find out that most major religions, they all started from Pergamum. And Pergamum was an Asian city in Babylonia. And I can say this without, and I'm not out to hurt people's feelings or anything else. I'm stating fact, and I can back up everything that I'm saying. Pergamum was visited in Babylonian by Caesar, and Caesar went in and he took 2 words out of there plus all their phony gods. Pontifex Maximus. And I want people to look up Pontifex Maximus. What does it mean? Because Caesar lost his life over it by Brutus, who killed him for proclaiming Pontifex Maximus. I'm trying to catch people's attention so that they will open up books and read about these so-called religions, these organized religions, because you're going to find out that a lot of them started from Babylon. And if you know anything about the Bible, you'll find out what was in Babylon and why did they try and build a tower and who built that tower. Sin was injected by the angels who taught these men evil things. I can't go in and be as graphic as the book is, and I've researched that book to make sure that the thing even existed, and it does. And I've been reading it and finding out, and it just makes you sit back and say, now you know where the demons come from. And some people say, oh, that's just a fairy tale. There's no such thing as a demon. There's no such thing as Satan. There's no such thing. Well, you're going to be in for a rude awakening soon, because things are popping on the earth. Things that are biblical prophecy are coming true right before my very eyes, and it's scary, but you can't hide from it. It's happening. It's happening in all over the world. This Russia-Ukraine thing is going to branch out to the point where, in my opinion, from what I have researched and read, and I've been doing this for over 20 years, soon we are going to see what the Bible calls instead of or the Antichrist. And this man is going to stand up just when the world is on the verge of destroying itself, and that's where we're headed. And I don't really like to say that. Nobody does, because I don't think anybody that has a brain in their head wants war, because the wars that are coming are not going to be like they were hundreds of years ago or even 70, 80 years ago. We're talking nuclear weapons. We're talking weapons that can be fired from satellites. We're talking about drones that can fly all across the ocean. We're talking about a whole new, different world here. So I would suggest that you sit back, you do some research, and think about where man is on the planet with all of this increase in knowledge, and what are they doing with it? They seem to be doing some good, but a lot of bad. And that's where we're headed, and we're not going to get out of it. Keep your eyes on Europe. Keep your eyes on Russia and the Ukraine and all the countries that are dealing with it, and see where it goes in the next couple of years. And I don't like to say these things to scare people, and I don't like to hear myself talk. It's just that I'm a concerned citizen, and I'm sitting back and I'm watching all this stuff happen, and it doesn't make me feel very good to even talk about it. But we must talk about it. We must be able to discuss openly how we feel without somebody saying, oh, you're a political dissident. We're going to have to knock on your door and arrest you because
That's coming.
that's
If you don't
like,
agree with them, that's coming.
exactly. Like we still to this day don't know what's in the Patriots Act. We have no clue. Everything that's in the Patriots Act. Now this administration, even though a lot of people don't realize this because they don't pay attention, in 2016 under the Obama administration, he already had a Defamation Act pact. It had a different name, but it's all the same thing. In other words, we have the internet now, and they are watching you and me and everybody on the planet. And they're going to be very careful to make sure that you don't say anything that they find is what they're going to call a terrorist notion.
They'll be
And-
coming after us soon, Anthony.
Sure. Oh, I know.
We're,
I know.
We're on the list.
People don't like to realize we live in such a high-tech society, and pretty soon they say by the year, it was a 234, 235, that 45, I think, percent or 42% of every working human being on the planet will be replaced by robots. And people don't believe me when I tell them there's 18-wheelers on the highway they've been experimenting with for a long time, and there's nobody behind that wheel. The computer is driving and guiding and doing everything in that
Thank
truck.
God I never saw one,
No,
and I don't want to be driving near one either.
it's happening.
God forbid the computer goes offline,
Right.
and then I go offline. No
Because
thanks.
humans are being put on a certain level where you're not really needed anymore. And there are certain elites in this world. They just had a World Economic Forum in Switzerland, and I sit there and I listen to it for 15, 20 minutes, and it surprised me that they even aired it. But they can't stop reporters from going in there and leaking this information. They're talking already on a worldwide, global thing of taking away guns, taking away free speech, everything that we believe in and have fought for and died for to make this country what it is, even though it's not perfect. These people think you don't deserve that. We don't really need you. You know, they jump into the school system and mentally and emotionally and spiritually attacking 3 and 4-year-olds, telling them about transgender. Well, I'll be the first to say there's no such thing as a transgender.
There isn't.
And there's not 15 different sexuals on this planet. There's male and there's female.
And as they always tell you, believe the science.
Right.
Believe the science.
Yeah. It's if you go against that, then you're a racist and you're this and you're that. Do your own research. And like I said, I have been researching for over 20 years now, about 22 years. And I slowed down for a couple of years, but then something said, look what's going on around you. This is something that you need to pay attention to. We're human beings, and we're the most important things on this planet. We're not some byproduct of General Motors or any of these big corporations. I mean, look what corporations have become. Under the Obama administration, they're people/entities, and they have tremendous power. And it's just, people, wake up. Wake up. This isn't a conspiracy theorist. This is fact. I can back up everything I'm saying because there's so much of it, and it's thrown at us that you just seem to not have time for it, or someone will take care of it.
Well, Anthony, I keep saying they're doing all that stuff about the grooming and telling you there's, 39 different sexes,
Mm-hmm.
which is a joke. But they're doing all this stuff, and everything is the race card. And, because I'm white, so I'm a white supremacist.
Right.
I mean, come on. Get off your high horse. I'm telling you, the reason this is all happening, this is all planned because of what Biden said the other day, this difficult transition. That's all it is. They got everybody, they're hoodwinking everyone, and people are just sitting there, But I met this lady I know for lunch in Lowell, Barbara, right? We go out for lunch. Oh, by the way, we went to Soho in Hudson. It was great.
So,
Yeah, we went for lunch. If you want the prices were, I thought the prices were very reasonable, actually low. We got a great lunch. The food was tasty. Go there. The service was fantastic. But anyway, we never really talked politics, right? But anyway, so, she's the one who brought up about the price of gasoline.
Mhm.
So I told her, I says, so you're happy paying close to $5 a gallon? She says, no, I'm not. She says, I'm quite upset about it. So all I said to her was, are you ready? I said, and there's a lot of people out there like this. All I said to her was, I said, well, Barbara, when the midterms come up, this is all I said. I said, vote for candidates that are pro-American.
right.
You know what she said? You know what she comes out with? I almost fell off the chair.
What?
She says, I voted for Biden because I didn't like Trump. How many people were out there that are like that? So this is what they got, see? You bite off your nose to spite your face.
Well,
Imagine.
yeah, I know. If you dig deep into that, I will say this. I was a Democrat all my life because back then the Democratic Party did what they said they were going to do. They took care of the middle class. They took care of working people. And I voted for Barack Obama. And within 2 years of his administration, something hit me upside the head like, something's not right here. And so the next following his first term, it's the first time that I haven't voted for a president because I couldn't vote for Mitt Romney on one end and I couldn't vote for Barack Obama on the other.
I voted for the third-party candidate. I've done that a lot.
I just couldn't bring myself to vote for Barack Obama. So I said to myself, what am I going to do? So eventually I became an independent. And I voted for Donald Trump. And I'm glad I did. And I will say that I look at this country when he was president because I don't care about his tweets and I don't care what the media comes up with this phony Russia hoax, which if people pay attention and research, they'll find out that one person has already been arrested. Another person has already reconciled to go to court when his time comes and explain this. And there were, 3-4 women that said that Donald Trump raped them, and they didn't even show up to court. But they don't tell you that on mainstream media.
Naturally.
And then there was the thing when he was in Russia talking and meeting with Putin, that he was having fun with Russian prostitutes, which that was another hoax. And at the same time, they overlook a laptop by Hunter Biden, who I've seen some of it, and millions of us have. You can't show all of it because it is pretty graphic. But Hunter Biden is having his little cocaine fest with 12 and 13-year-old Chinese girls, and the FBI still sits on the laptop. But yet they go after Giuliani, knock on his door and said, well, you've got to give us the tapes and everything that you have. Oh, no, Giuliani said, because you've already got them. And you're not doing anything with them, And I'm not the only one that has a copy. They're all over the world. Sure enough, people from all around the world said, yep, I've got it. I've got it. But you'll never see it. Hillary Clinton and her husband there. I never thought I'd be slamming the Democrat Party, but I am so disappointed at what's going on. And I'm still not a Republican. I don't believe that Trump walks on water, and I don't believe that Donald Trump is God. In fact, he came out and said just the opposite. But people get so excited, and mainstream media, the corporations, which are people/entities, look it up, prove me wrong, is coming out and saying this and that, and people believe it. Pretty soon, after you're told something so many times, and it's in front of your face, you're going to believe it. If you don't have this computer up here and use this computer up here, I may be kind of Fred Flintstone on the computer laptop, but I know how to run this computer and keep it running. It's to feed your head with information. Take in everything you can and filter it.
Like the famous quote I said by Frank Zappa, your mind is like a parachute, useless unless you open it.
Right. And yes, you use it because there's so much going on in front of us right now. Like with the baby food shortage, this gasoline thing. I'm not going to get too deep into what is now called climate change. Where
that's a spoof.
It's something that is because we're headed for a one world government, and people don't see that, and that's where we are headed. Period. Your children, your young children, are going to be growing up in a new world order. Biden said that 3.5 weeks ago. Adolf Hitler said it in 1939. George Orwell, who wrote the book 1984, was in Germany, heard Hitler, wrote a book in 1947 called 1984. And it has the Ministry of Truth, the Ministry of everything is a ministry. He's being spied on by cameras in his yard, by cameras in his own apartment where he lives, and everybody was. That's where we're headed, people. I mean...
Well, we already are. If you've got an Alexa, they say Alexa listens 24/7.
Right. I mean, there's TVs. My father, I finally convinced him that his computer could spy on him whether it was on or off. He didn't believe me. He thought I was a nut. He says, no.
How?
Well, guess
I didn't
what?
know that.
Guess
How?
what? Yeah.
How?
If you have his certain computer, and I can't remember what it was, he had to he put electrical tape over it because he found out that indeed they can do that.
Oh, the camera. That's right, because I know people that have done it. That's right. This is years ago. A friend of mine, I went over to visit, and he's pretty tech savvy like that. And I says, what's with the electrical tape? He's over there. He says it's over the camera. I go,
right.
Why? And that's what he says. He says because it
see.
watches you all the
There
time.
are TVs, and I'm trying to remember the name of the TVs that have, even when you turn them off, they can still see.
I've read
see
about
in your
that too. I
apartment.
forget the name. That's right. Yeah.
But they're pretty popular name. But when you hear this, you don't want to believe it. It's just like I remember over 20 years ago when I first got on the computer. You won't have to worry. Your email address is safe with us. Now I'm getting emails with people that have my email address and people that I don't know. I'm getting people that want to give me $500,000, but they've been looking for me for just give your bank account number and we'll take.
You didn't take them up on it, Anthony. Come on.
I mean, face it, all the big ones are doing it. The MITRE Corporation is doing it. Google is doing it. They're spying on us. We are being spied on.
Google for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and then if you notice too, they even to verify, in case something happens and you can't get into your account, you use further verification. I love it. Give us your phone number.
right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like I don't think so.
Yeah.
Give us your phone number
There's so many cons out there,
so we know it's you.
but they're going to give it now pretty soon. You're going to see digital passports. If it's not one pandemic, it's going to be another pandemic. Now, from what I've read about this monkeypox, it's been around since the beginning of man. It has been in the southern and western part of Africa. Now, slowly, it's spreading to Europe.
By the way, did you know the Wuhan laboratory was doing gain of function on that just last year?
Yeah. And,
But Fauci will discredit that. We don't. It's disinformation if we say something like
yes,
that, Anthony.
supposedly the United States got out of it in 2015. But evidently there was a Chinese lady, the doctor, that carried it through. So still to this day, we're wondering exactly where did it come from. So how many years can they just keep us going around in a circle and tell us the truth? They're not telling you how many people have died, have had heart attacks, professional athletes. They keep it low. And if you don't have people out there with a camera and doing their own recording and their own photography, you're never going to know. And if they keep pushing people off the internet that tell you the truth, you're never going to know. And it sounds like a chapter in 1984. And what were they doing in 1984? They were tearing down statues of history. Same thing that they did in the summer in the cities. And all the Democrat mayors and Democrat governors sat there and watched it happen and called down the police. And then you got Black Lives Matter, and they're phony. They're phony. They just caught them in a big scandal, and they admitted it.
That's Islam. That's one of their. That's one of their. What's the word I'm looking for? Sort of plans on how you get people to come into Islam. You take away their identity, and that's just what they're doing. And you talk about Black Lives Matter. The Black Lives Matter in Boston, and I think it might be Denver and L.A. Check out the officers. Who are they? Muslims. It's led by Muslims.
They just caught, I think it was it Kentucky? They just caught the lady that started that movement, and she just bought a $10 million mansion, and she's loaned. This one guy got paid $800,000.
Her brother. It's her brother.
Was it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I have black friends that don't go for the Black Lives Matter, and Antifa. Now, I'm going to say something that's.
Antifa is pro-fa.
It goes all the way back, believe it or not, to Adolf Hitler. Check me out. I know my song well before I start singing. Antifa is. I sat and watched Antifa, and Hitler's giving a speech, and it was like 1935 or 36, and then again in 1939, and it had the people from Antifa. These are groups that tell you one thing, but their plan is to literally take you over, own you, and use you.
Right.
For their purpose.
You talk about Antifa and, Black Lives Matter and yes, the Democratic Party, right? They all talk about about white supremacy, and we're doing this, and then they talk about the Republicans are trying to do away with democracy, and then Antifa's the same thing. Everything they say they're against and what they're trying to prevent people from doing is what they're doing.
Exactly.
That's great.
It's the same old thing where
we got to wrap it up.
Okay, where you create chaos and you reap chaos.
David B., the Readings Guy, 603-404-9338. Biffit@yahoo.com. Give me a call. Any ideas for a future show? Let me know. You want a fantastic reading? Let me know. In the meantime, let's thank my guest, the wonderful artist, Anthony Williams. And in the meantime, remember, you are a winner.